Hi, I'm Scott Kirsner, the Boston Globe's Innovation Economy columnist. I'm getting ready to go out and meet with the CEO of EveryScape, which is a Waltham company developing a technology to create three-dimensional photographic maps of the world. The company's been really stealthy about what they're up to, in part because when they launch this fall, they're going to be competing with Google and potentially Microsoft as well. So I'm really curious to see exactly what they're up to and how they're doing it.
The rig that we have is a very simple rig that we built with lots of very commonly available type cameras and components that we really pieced together, primarily because we really want this to be something that a lot of people can do and provide their input into the world online. Basically what these guys have is they've got a route that they're driving through. Which they'll begin as soon as they position themselves.
Is this new stuff that we're shooting?
I think so.
Yeah, this is new stuff, and we're going to start shooting once we pass the church on the Purpose Square, and we're going to shoot Mass Ave going north.
You're sort of telling, just in a general way, I mean, you're telling the cameras kind of when to shoot, how often to shoot?
Yeah, you're controlling, I mean, he's kind of like aiming the cameras in a sense because he's driving the car. And I'm clicking the trigger button on the camera. So I choose when to take a picture, basically.
And is the general rule like once every certain number of seconds, or does the computer tell you?
Every like 20 or so feet for sure. But I mean, also it's, you know, the general rule is that we want to get the facades of buildings, and we want to get the street intersections for sure.
Oh, see, this is interesting. So you have to worry about other cars blocking the cameras, or trucks mostly.
Yeah, vans and trucks.
What have you guys learned about Boston traffic in doing all of this? Or how has Boston traffic impacted the process?
We've contributed to making Boston traffic even more difficult.
Just by driving around so much?
Yeah, and we, you know,
the
like
user gawking.
Call for U-turns or things like that to get the right spot. And you know, we're trying to line up a good picture, so we'll, you know, be backing out into intersections when, you know, people don't expect it. So.
Have you gotten any moving violations so far?
No
moving violations, just parking tickets. There seems to be some model from the website of paying people to go do some of the stuff. I mean, if you want to be a real hardcore escape artist, as you call them,
sure.
That there's remuneration, right?
Absolutely. You know, again, our philosophy is that we want lots of people to help us and work with us in actually building the world online. In fact,
could this be a full-time job for somebody?
Oh, absolutely. So, yep. No, we fully expect people to own territories and be the resident professional scape artists.
You call them scape artists, not escape artists.
Correct.
All right, I've got the lingo down now. So are these guys going to get fired for this illegal U-turn that we're making here?
No, this is part of it. This is, if you can accomplish this well, I think that means you should get
a raise.
Maybe a raise.
You guys are in my hood, man. This is Arlington.
This is the computer told you to make that illegal U-turn, right? Google for you guys is a potential partner, but they're also a potential competitor, right? You know, they could have, as far as we know, some next generation Street View team that's out and about doing something more similar to this, or going into interior spaces and photographing them. So how do you think about them as a competitor, and Microsoft as a competitor, and, you know, Yahoo and AOL and other companies that have kind of mapping competencies?
We're not as big as Google and Microsoft, but we've been doing it a lot longer. This project's been underway for over 8 years. So we've learned a lot about what not to do, and actually are looking at some of the other approaches that are out there, and in some sense already understand where things are going to struggle. You've got to maintain this world, which is far harder than building it the first time.
When a building burns down, you have to go and...
or when a business changes from the Irish pub to Joe's Pilates studio, you know, you've got to make that change. And if that isn't something that can happen with almost no effort overnight, you're going to have very frustrated people showing up for the Irish pub and finding Joe's Pilates studio. We called it the People's World Project from the beginning. We didn't feel like we could say it's EveryScape's Earth or EveryScape's World or something like that. Because philosophically, I don't think that makes any sense. I don't think we own it, or frankly should own it. This is something that gets built very much like the internet got built, where again, lots of people contribute in different ways to kind of make that happen.
Do you think Walter Goulet, do you think he's related to Robert Goulet?
That might be his bread and butter.
There's people wondering, am I going to get some high quality Robert Goulet type music?
Yeah.
Maybe he's like Robert Goulet's evil twin, you know, plays death metal. If I'm biking by or walking by Harvard and I don't want to be associated with that university at all, it would be embarrassing to me. How do you deal with the problem that, you know, Google Street View has had of, like, you know, the guy who's walking into the adult bookstore or the person who's seen, you know, skipping out of work early?
Well, essentially, we don't provide a zoomable feature, which is what you need in order to recognize people in these types of environments.
Mm-hmm. So here's this house. This is like the giant challenge for EveryScape. This is this house that they moved like 3 blocks down Mass Ave. So do you think you guys shot it in its original location? Well, and then you have to shoot it again when they move it?
Well, today was the first time we've shot this stretch of Mass Ave with you in the car. So we've got it in the right place now. If they want to move it again, then we'll have to.
It's going to be problematic.
Yeah.
I think that I'd be embarrassed to be seen walking around Harvard, and then I find out that you just graduated from Harvard with a degree in
philosophy.
And you're doing, what do you consider this job to be? Is it map making? Is it cartography?
I think photography. It's digital photography. So.
But with a really interesting purpose.
Right, exactly.